Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello, and welcome back to Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Banani.
I'm Claire Wojciechowski.
And we have another very special episode for you today, Previously Honors. You know, I think I might start calling the listeners.
I was like, oh, she's trying something. All right.
I feel like we need a name for our listeners. I'm still, trying out a few things.
Okay.
But I thought Previously Honors could be kind of fun.
I think it's fun, yeah.
Well, it is nearing summertime, Claire. So we are talking all about one of the ultimate summer teen TV shows. I'm talking Outerbanks.
I love Outerbanks. It is wacky, it is wild, and it is a ton of fun.
That is the perfect way to describe it. So we are keeping it to season 1 today.
Yes.
We're going to talk all about season 1. We're deep diving it. This season we were introduced to these pogues. And we are doing this in the lead up to season 4 on Netflix. We don't know when it's coming out.
No, but we hope it's this summer. We assume it's this summer.
It better be this summer.
I know.
Or I'm taking it to the streets.
Yeah. So don't you worry. We will cover seasons 2 and 3 in due time.
Yeah, we will be covering more of the show. So grab your pina colada. I guess more
grab
of a
your
beer.
your dirty bandana.
Yeah, grab your dirty bandana.
And
That's
your
good.
Coors Light.
Yes.
And come meet us in Poguelandia.
And if you are Ward's wife, grab your pina colada.
Yeah. Poor Rose.
All right, Rose.
So if you will recall, this show was first released on April 15th, 2020, which was, about a month into COVID lockdowns.
I really remember this because this was like a big part of early lockdown for me. I was actually in North Carolina. I was at the beach in North Carolina, not exactly Outer Banks, but not far from it. But I was so excited about this show because I was like, ooh, I'm living the Pogue life now. I'm a Pogue. Like, I got so into it, I think, because I was like living at the beach and like living that life. And there was nothing else to do.
No, there was nothing to do except stay in our houses and watch Outer Banks.
And this show delivered during the pandemic.
I mean, it was pure escapism.
Yeah.
I mean, partly because, these kids are outside the entire time in the summer. It's like they're so free and you're like, oh, they're living in this happy world where they're just running around in the outdoors.
They are literally never in a home.
No.
They are just running around outside. I don't know how they don't get more sunburns, but they are literally never inside a house the entire season. But yeah, I feel like this show does just do such a good job of bringing that like pure escapism, and it was like at a time when we really needed it. And I feel like everyone that I was with at that time, including my parents, my dad even got very into Outer Banks. He kept thinking someone was going to die. Like one of the kids. But I was like, you don't really get this. But yeah, everyone I was with got very into it because I think this show is just like what we needed at that time. And it is wacky, but just, so fun.
It gave me something to live for, like
dark.
we were a month into COVID, and I feel like at the first couple weeks you're like, oh, it's fine, it's a couple days, it's kind of nice to like just relax. But after about a month, I feel like everyone was like, cabin fever was setting in, and we needed something to like lift our spirits. Tiger King had come and gone, and then thankfully Netflix gave us another gem in the form of Outer Banks.
After Tiger King. But yeah, I do think like so much of the fun of it is just, seeing all of what they get up to in the Outer Banks. There's so much stuff to do. And since we love seeing what all these pogues and kooks get up to in a summer of the OBX, we're going to play a little game of do's and don'ts, all about what they did on the show. Producer Jessie, will you put a minute on the clock for us?
I sure will. So we're going to give you 1 minute and see how many do's and don'ts you learned from watching Outer Banks. And we'll get going in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Do attend a kegger on the beach.
Don't rob a drug dealer. Do spend an afternoon on a boat.
Don't sink a rich kid's boat in retaliation. Do sneak into a fancy party at the country club.
Don't spend all your money on a hot tub extravaganza. Do eat seafood.
Don't burn down the bell tower.
Oh my God, that's a good one. I forgot about that.
Do go surf the swells.
Wow, really good terminologies in that one. Okay. Don't destroy a kook's jet ski.
Yeah.
Do wear a swimsuit all day. No shirts in sight.
No shirts. And don't sneak into a crazy lady's house at night.
Oh, that was a good one. I had that on my list too.
Ding, ding.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is we didn't even get through half the plot points on the season 1, you know?
I feel like we just really scratched the surface with that. There were so many options. I really could have gone on for like 20 minutes.
I know.
We really should have made wearing a shirt a don't.
Oh, that's a good one. I love that.
Yeah. Not a full coverage shirt in sight in the Outer Banks.
No, definitely not. Everyone, please utilize these do's and don'ts for your, summer inspiration. If you want to live a summer in the OBX, you got to live by these do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's deep dive season 1. Claire, give us a quick synopsis of what all went down.
All right, so the Outer Banks is set in a coastal town in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, where there's this big social divide between the rich people, who are nicknamed the kooks, and the working class people called the pogues. We are following a group of pogue teenagers led by John B. They are on a treasure hunt. They're trying to find this buried treasure, and they get into some hijinks along the way. They get into a lot of scrapes with some dangerous people, and, as all teens do, they make out and they make up and they fight, etc.
Make out, make up, and fight. Again, love it. That's that's all I need in a show. That was a great synopsis.
Thank you.
So much happens in season 1, and I'm excited to get into it. I do feel like when this show came out, it was like so unique. I feel like I hadn't really seen another teen show that was exactly like this one.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I was seeing some articles online leading up to the release date that were calling it like the OC meets the Goonies, and that's how they were trying to describe the tone of the show. And I'm like wondering, like, do you agree with that? Like, what do you think?
Well, at first I have to laugh about it, being compared to the OC, because I'm like, how dare you? This is not the OC. But I will say I do see like some similarities. I mean, I feel like the OC, there's a big focus on like class divides. Mm-hmm. Ryan comes in from Chino to this very like wealthy community. And that's definitely like a theme in this show with the divides between the pooks and the What the fuck is wrong with me? This is gonna be such a mess.
We're leaving that in.
Fine.
No, please, yeah. With Buki. All right.
So we definitely get that in this show too, with the between the pogues and the kooks and the cut, and I can't remember
figure eight.
The rich side,
yeah.
The figure eight. So I see similarities with that, but I just feel like for me, like what set the OC apart is like the parents are such an integral part of the storylines, and we have like no parents, I feel like, in this one. They're really not a part of the story. We get one parent who turns out to be evil. All the parents and adults in this show like are not great, so I feel like that's just like a huge difference for me.
Sure. I also feel like the OC is like a fish out of water story. Yeah. And this show is not that. It's about like these people who have existed together. Like there's no newcomers. Everyone has known each other for years. Yeah. There's this history there that's layered. And it's about, the adventure, the chase, the excitement of it all.
I feel like one thing though that connects it to the OC that you just made me think about though is like it's really introducing us to like this place that maybe we don't really know much about. Like the OC introduced us like Orange County, California. Like maybe we didn't know much about it. And I feel like this show was like a similar vibe of introducing us to the Outer Banks. Like whether the Outer Banks is like this or not, like it probably isn't. But you're just so like invested in the town and like the cool lifestyle of the town.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere that like tourism in the Outer Banks like community at large like jumped by like 65% in 2021.
Oh my God.
Because no one could travel in 2020, but by the next
Yeah.
summer there were I think 2 seasons out by that point in time, and it really increased.
Oh, that's so interesting. That like kind of surprises me.
Right.
Only because they don't film the show like in the Outer Banks. They film it in South Carolina. So I would have thought maybe tourism would go up of like, oh, I want to see where John B is like running in the street every 2 seconds, or I want to see like the Sarah Cameron's home or something like that. So that's kind of surprises me. But again, it's like they're just like putting a place on the map.
Right. I think they're, like you said, it's like the lifestyle or like the vibe that appeals to them, maybe like this like just sort of sleepy seaside, like laid back coastal town maybe is what they're after.
Love a coastal town. If there is a coastal town in a show, I'm sold.
It's a great setting for a show.
I don't need much else. Like, I don't care how dramatic and ridiculous the plot points get. If we're seeing people on boats, like, I'm happy.
She just wants the beach, guys.
I know.
Listen to both of our Heartbreak High episodes and hear how much she needs a beach scene.
I know. Well, and I feel like this show, would you say this is like the soapiest show we've ever had in a teen
1,000%.
show? Like, it is extremely dramatic, soapy, like, it brings in every kind of like wild wackadoo storyline you could think of.
I mean, the amount of plot twists per episode honestly rivals Pretty Little Liars for me.
Yeah.
In different types of plot twists, but it's just crazy.
I would agree with that. It does give me some PLL vibes.
Yeah.
I can never say Pretty Little Liars or PLL. It's hard
You
for
got
me.
it. You got it right there.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's a good comparison. I mean, every episode is like ending in a cliffhanger.
I mean, I was counting in my rewatch, like literally like the dangerous situations that they did per episode.
Yeah.
And in episode 1, literally there's cops come to the model home. They surf the storm. Cops show up at the motel. A fight at the beach party. Cops chase John B. And then there's a boat chase. That's like 6 very like tense moments in the pilot alone. And it just doesn't slow down from there.
No, but that's what I love about this show. And I think that is like what sets it apart is these like dramatic like moments and these soapy things that like you would never get up to yourself. But these Pogues are just, they're wild.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love it. And I also like, I love a mystery. And there is
Yeah.
that element of they're trying to find the treasure. But you have like the class warfare side of it, and then there's like the romance and the friendship. It's just like it's a really wonderful blend of all of these things that we like in our teen shows.
I mean, what would you say was like your most dramatic moment in season 1?
I mean, I think I have to go with at the end of episode 8 when Rafe kills the sheriff.
Oh, I know. That's mine
the
as
most
well.
shocking moment of the season for me.
I mean, there's a lot of shocking moments in season 1, and that was just like mind blown. Like, I
Right?
didn't think we could get more wild, and then they did it. Like, I was like, whoa, we are soapy. We are doing something I've never seen before.
We are in serious shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think, even some of the other stuff, I'm like, oh, like these kids are, they're in danger, but they're not going to, like, nothing bad's really going to happen.
Right.
And then you have like a teenager, because Rafe is still like, he's like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Killing someone. And you're like, oh no, like we're getting serious here.
I know. That's where I was like, oh my God. And then like Ward is covering it up. That's also crazy. And everyone thinks John B is doing it. There's a manhunt for John B.
The manhunt is outrageous.
I was also like, never seen this before. Like the posters.
The way like the whole town is like conspiring to like catch him.
I know.
It's insane.
Literally, there's a whole episode of the manhunt.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I feel like they're at the moment, like a little bit earlier in the season, where I was like, "What is this show?"
Oh, right, because you're new to it.
when they are getting chased by the other speedboat by like the 2 guys and getting shot at.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, why are these people trying to kill these teenagers?
Yeah.
Yes.
And like they're literally about to get killed. Like, I think I was like, whoa, this is something different than I thought.
I think it's like you're like, oh, that's so fun. They're on the hunt for this treasure. Like that's a cute little like mystery element to this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's kind of like the Goonies. Like that's sweet. That's so fun. And then you're like, oh no, these teenagers are getting shot at.
Yes.
They're finding dead bodies. They're shot at. Like everyone is chasing them. People are out for blood. And you're like, oh no, this is serious.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not just running from like the cops. Like people are trying to murder them.
yeah. I mean, my moment where I was like, oh my God, this show is different was when Ward turns out to be so evil. Like, mainly that scene with him and John B on the boat when he is literally trying to kill him. That to me was like, I was like, oh my God, we are doing something different here. Not like I thought he was always like this good guy or something, but the fact he was like actually trying to kill him for about 20 minutes or so, like quite some time. That really like threw me for a loop. That's when I was like, oh, this is different. This is doing its own thing. It's in a league of its own.
I know. I mean, we just talked about that moment on our plot twist episode, you know, because it is so shocking that this adult man is trying to kill his daughter's boyfriend over some money that he doesn't even have. He just wants. I don't know.
And he seems to already have plenty of money. Like, why does he need it so bad?
Because it's never enough, you know?
I know. I mean, like, I get that, but you were going to adopt John B. Ward. Well, I should have known. Maybe the wildest plot twist was him adopting his daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's always a fun one. And to be clear, also, I love all of these moments.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what makes this show stand out.
Mm-hmm. It's what makes you like keep coming back for more. You have to hit that next episode button because I'm like, I got to know what happens next. How are they going to get out of this predicament?
And that's what I want in my shows. Like, I want to be clicking next episode. Like, I need a cliffhanger. I need something that's like, you know, keeping me going. I think, too, with this show, I really loved the, like, action adventure part of it because I have not watched many teen shows that are like that.
No.
I mean, I've watched like supernatural shows, obviously, but that's different.
Yeah,
like,
because the rules of the world are different.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of, you know, in the premise, like, of course they're fighting evil because they're supernatural.
I truly don't know how these actors were able to run in every scene that they're in. I mean, they're literally running like the entire time.
Yep.
I mean, I just kept thinking about like how difficult that would have been to film.
In the summer in Charleston, like,
oh God,
you know, just in the dirt, and they're jumping over fences and they're like getting hit by cars, they're crashing their bikes, and they just keep on running. And I'm like, good God.
They keep on running.
Yeah.
Such a good
these
point.
pogues are immortal, man. Like nothing keeps them down.
I mean, maybe the show is supernatural.
Honestly.
Pogues are the newest supernatural element. But yeah, I love that part about this. Like, I just think it's so, again, like something so different. I think this show like knows what it is. Too.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be like The OC or One Tree Hill or Pretty Little Liars. Like, it's trying to be something that we haven't seen. And I think it accomplished that and just did it in such a good way.
Yeah, totally. So should we dive in a little bit to each of our main players, our main characters, and just sort of give our thoughts on all of them and how we feel about them?
I would love to give my thoughts on all of these characters.
Okay, well.
I got some thoughts.
I'm going to start us off with the Pogues.
Our main players.
Our main players, the focus. We find this out at the top of the pilot in a voiceover from our main Pogue, John B.
Okay, I did love that intro. I thought it was fun.
It's like a tone setter because that's not something that's used very often, the voiceover.
I know. I liked it in the beginning. I thought the intro was good where we're like seeing the town and like who everyone is right away.
Yeah, we get an explainer of everything. And
they were like, we don't have time. We're getting right into finding dead bodies.
Yeah, we're just going to tell you everything you need to know up front instead of showing it to you. Yeah. So John B., 16, his dad has been missing for months, so he's essentially been living on his own. He's got his best friend JJ, who is kind of reckless and a little like unhinged, but like incredibly loyal and sort of sweet at the core.
Unhinged in a fun way.
Yeah, unhinged in a fun way.
Yeah.
You know, Pope, who is, you know, the smart one. He's very serious. He's got a future outside of the cut. He's going to go to college and become a coroner.
He's getting that scholarship.
Yeah, he's trying at least.
I mean, I love my Pogue boys because I drafted them in our friendship draft. I just love seeing them all together. I think the dynamic between the three of them is very fun. They're all very different, but all similar in that they like will get into the trouble. Like there's not one of them that's like not participating.
Right.
Like they're all in it together. They're all loyal to each other. They stand by each other's sides. And it's just like a fun friendship dynamic that we don't see often in these shows. And I think that they did a good job of like making them all like different, but also similar to where you like believe them being friends.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like we get to see, you know, they're still like very like alpha-ish boys, like but they're not like assholes like the kooks who we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
And you get the sense very quickly that like they would maybe take a bullet for each other. Like maybe not that serious, but they will risk a lot to protect each other. And to keep each other out of trouble. And like you said, like even though Pope is always very cautious and is like, this is a bad idea, whatever, he always does it at the end of the day.
Exactly. Like he's not like sitting at home or he's not even like super reluctant, you know? He'll jump in.
Yeah, he's just pointing out like the obvious flaws in the plan. But then as soon as they're like, come on, Pope, he's like, yeah, okay. And then he jumps in the van.
That is kind of why Pope is my least favorite though.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's kind of a wet rag.
Yeah. There's just, not as much there for him. I mean, we got JJ crying in the hot tub.
I love JJ.
With his bruises from his abusive father. So,
Yeah.
it's hard to compete with that.
Yeah, hard to compete with JJ.
But then we have our kooks. All right. The rich kids in town. So we have Sarah Cameron, who I would say is like our Marissa Cooper.
I was going to say, yeah, that's the biggest comp to the OC for me is the romance between John B. and Sarah Cameron.
I mean, they really introduced Sarah Cameron as like, not full like pixie dream girl, but like kind of like she's adventurous and she just wants to like escape the prison that is her mansion.
Like she doesn't want this like, picture perfect life that is laid out in front of her. She wants it, like you said, she wants adventure. She wants to have fun. She wants to take a walk on the wild side a little bit, make her own choices.
Yeah. And it's really fun when we do see her interact with John B. and the Pogues and we kind of like see that more come out. She's released from that mansion. Which that house looks very nice.
Oh my God! Yeah,
just a side note.
Tanny Hall.
Tanny Hall.
Send me there, man.
I want a shirt that says Tanny Hall. But then we have Sarah's wackadoo brother, Rafe.
Wackadoo is a bit of an understatement.
Is he the like wildest character we've ever had on one of these shows? I don't even know who he compares to.
He is like a full-on sociopath.
Yeah, he is. Like I'm scared of him in season 1.
And we've seen characters like that before, but never like main characters. Like I feel like Oliver on the OC is like a little sociopathic. Derek, like fake Derek, on One Tree Hill, but like...
No, I was going to say that. He's giving guest star vibes.
Right, but no, he's a main character, man.
Like, he is so, like, unstable. And, like, the daddy issues run so deep.
Yes.
Like, we're not just talking, like, Nathan Scott daddy issues. Like, we're talking real deep, like...
Yeah, like psychological trauma.
Yeah, mental issues. And he's violent. Like, he is just a wild character. I don't even know what to say about him. Like,
he's very unpleasant.
Yeah, he is. But, I'm here for the turnaround of Rafe.
Yeah. You think he can be redeemed after killing the sheriff?
You know what? I do just think the actor who plays Rafe is a good actor.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
he does a really good job with this role that is like really difficult. And it is a little surprising that they went full just like main character, kind of being a little sociopathic. Because I feel like if we would have seen a character like Rafe like come in as a guest star, we would have been like, oh, here we go, Oliver again, like another psychotic guest star. And it's like, that's been told and done with, but it's ballsy for them to make a main character like this.
To keep him around.
Yeah, and I just think that like the actor, which I'm forgetting his name now,
Drew Starkey.
Yes, Drew Starkey, who's in like all this stuff now too. I just thought he's going to be in like a big movie with
one of the Jurassic Park movies, maybe.
I think
for some franchise
one,
movie,
like an artistic movie with like a big time.
Maybe I'm
player.
getting my young men mixed up. I don't know.
Who. Maybe we'll look it up at the end. But I was like, oh, get it, Drew Starkey. Like you're doing things. You're out of the Outer Banks. And then we have Daddy Dearest Ward, who I mean. Evil dad to the extreme. I mean, maybe worse than Dan Scott. Yeah. I keep bringing up One Tree Hill. I'm sorry. 2 North Carolina shows.
I mean, I think the thing about Ward is that he seems like a nice guy at the beginning. Like he's this, wealthy man, but he seems very benevolent. When John B is caught stealing like the air from the boat, he fires him but doesn't like report him to the police. He seems like a decent person. And he says, I grew up in the cut. I understand what it's like. But then at the same time, we find out that, no, that just made him an asshole. And he's greedy. And he is, responsible for raising Rafe. So there's that.
I know. And giving Rafe just all these issues.
Yeah.
I mean... It's so funny because when you start watching this show, I was interested in the Ward character because I'm like, oh, we kind of have like the man about town. Like you can just tell, like this is a guy who like is kind of hungry for some power in the town. But that's kind of as far as I thought we were going to go with it. I didn't realize like he was going to be like actually another terrible person.
Yeah, he's the villain.
Yeah. Did not see that coming. It just like, that was just such a wild twist for me because you really start off the season being like, oh, I'm kind of like interested. I feel like he'll definitely be somebody who gets in between like Sarah Cameron and John B.
Right.
But I kind of thought that was all he was going to do. And maybe like run for mayor or something. That's what I thought we were going to see.
It did seem like he was on that track.
Yeah. And then we also have in the Kooks, we have Topper, Sarah's boyfriend, just kind of like Abercrombie wearing.
Yeah.
Or at least like our age Abercrombie wearing.
I mean, the Topper,
polos.
the Kooks are dressed sort of like an 80s villain. Like
I
the
know.
bright pastel polos and like the shorts, like the like plaid shorts and like, flip flops. It's just like no one do people really dress like that? Like
I
guess
actually
these
think
Kooks.
down there
they do.
There is like a more preppy like community,
but like a preppy Southern specific.
Yeah,
or?
it's like Southern, like
those frat boys.
Yeah, it is.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I guess I've never
We don't
encountered
see
one
it
in real
here
life.
in New York,
yeah.
but
I've never encountered one in real life. Oh my God. We'll take you to the Outer Banks, Claire.
Please, I'm begging you.
I just wanted to know, are they all wearing like Ralph Lauren? Is it a brand? Like, I just wanted to know more about where they were getting these clothes
Like
from.
Lacoste, bringing it back to Marissa Cooper again.
I know. I was like, ooh, how do I dress like a kook?
One character that we didn't talk about just yet, and I have a lot of thoughts about,
Oh, fun.
is Kiara.
I know. We
AKA
totally bypassed her when we were talking about the pose.
Yeah. So Ki, raised as a kook because she's wealthy, but disowns them, hangs with the Pogues. And my thought is like, on the one hand, I applaud her for having all these Pogue boys wrapped around her finger because that takes skill and balls. But on the other hand, like, I don't know. I never trust a guy's girl. I'm sorry. If you can't be friends with women, I don't trust you.
she's a bit of a pick-me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a good like explanation of her. And, I'm not really here for somebody who like can't be friends with girls either. But I do think I started to like her a little bit more when her and Sarah Cameron like reunited with their friendship. And I was like, okay, this is like making a little more sense to me.
Yeah.
But when you're introduced with her too, John B is like, and we're all a little bit in love with her.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not even really seeing that. Like,
Right? Like,
I
you don't get
see
that impression at all. And then like JJ tries to convince him that she's into him, and it's like, I didn't see that. What's JJ doing? And
I know. And then they like John B and Key have like a weird kiss.
Yeah.
Like, which I completely forgot about. Like, I forgot about basically all of Key in season 1 when I was rewatching this. I completely forgot that they kiss. I forgot about her and Pope too, like kissing at the end of the season, which I think is supposed to be a big moment, but really falls flat.
It does, because he like confesses his love to her, and it's just like so anticlimactic because you're like, really? Like, you're what? Like, she shoots him down, and then he, is Pope and does something nice and, shows up at the end to help them or whatever. And then she decides, never mind. And she kisses him.
Yeah.
You're just like, make up your mind, babe.
It's just like, I'm like, is John B going to survive this manhunt? Like, that's more what I'm worried about here.
Yeah.
Like, now's not the time to kiss.
Exactly.
But I do wish we saw Kiara doing some more of her, like, saving the turtle stuff. Like, I know there's no time in the OBX for any form of activity, but I would really love to see some of her, like, turtle conservation, like, some of that stuff, because they keep throwing that at us in, like, little bits and pieces. And I'm like,
to what end?
We haven't seen her do any of this. I mean, I get it. We're busy. You're, protecting John B from this manhunt, but...
Yeah, I think it's meant to show us that, like, even though she has money, she like rejects that whole idea and like she, is like eat the rich mentality. But like it ultimately doesn't matter because like you're on the run from everyone. So like I don't really care what your ideals are because I just want to know, like, are you going to survive?
Yeah, I think that's a good point of like, we're living minute by minute when we are in the OBX. Like we are literally, it is minute by minute. So we don't really have time for some of this stuff.
No, we do not.
I feel like they made her a little bit too like whiny in the beginning about like her political or social causes because she was doing that thing where it'd be like, oh, I want this. And she's like, oh, well, people are dying. And it's like, that is not really how to like win us over on her. You know? It would have been cuter if it was more about the turtles.
I just wanted to hear more about those turtles. I feel like though they improve her over the seasons.
That's what I mean. It's like, it was a lot in the beginning. And then I just got kind of a negative opinion of her from that. But it comes back around.
It's almost like shocking. Again, like when I was rewatching, I was like, oh, this is like different from like how I remembered it a little bit.
Yeah. I appreciated that by the end of season 1, we do see that growth from Key and we do see her like repair this friendship with Sarah Cameron. And that makes us like her a little bit more, I think, because we see that other side of her. But overall, I just really liked season 1 because it was fun.
I know. It's so memorable. Like, I think when people think about the Outer Banks, they really think towards, like, season 1 because it's so fun.
Yeah. And it's like, it's summertime. It's set in the summertime and they're out of school, so they don't have these like time constraints on them. It has that sense of freedom that you have in the summer when you're a kid, especially.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're running around. They're bopping from place to place.
They're barely wearing shoes.
No shoes, no shirts, no problems.
Yeah. Like that just really reminds me of summertime. I'm just like literally. I feel like I barely wore shoes when I was like in high school.
And like they always have like bikini tops on under their tank tops and just like jean shorts. Like that's what they wear. The girls wear all the time, and like the guys are just like always ready to jump in the water. Like,
it's like you want to live that summer life of like being ready to jump in a body of water at any second.
Yeah.
And I think just like seeing them all like on boats and like surfing and like you see them like crabbing at one point.
Yeah.
Like it's just so fun to watch them kind of like do those like activities in between like all the action adventure of like running around town. Like we do see them all kind of bond as teenagers together, like in those moments, like in between all the crazy drama. So I think it's just like such a good balance of that.
Yeah, I think that we see a lot of their friendship and like the depths of those relationships, and like how well they know each other and how well they care for each other in those in-between moments, like you said. Like even when they're, outside the crazy lady's house and like, John B says to Sarah, like, be careful or something like that. And then like JJ and Pope immediately are like to each other, like, be careful.
Yeah.
Like making fun of him
I
for
know,
it in
I
this
love
like
that
really sweet
moment.
way. But it's like so funny in the middle of this like scary scene where the crazy lady's about to shoot at them.
They do always like take that time to like give each other those like affirmations. Like I feel like we get a lot of like, I love you, man. Like be careful. Like you better come back. And like Key's always like worried about them. Like it is just kind of like very sweet.
Yeah, she gives somebody, you know, kisses on the cheek here and there. And it's like, I see what you're doing, girl. You're keeping your options open.
I also liked how just like fast paced this season is. I mean, we are moving and grooving. We are finding a dead body. We're getting shot at in a boat. We are at the police station like every other episode. We're getting chased by the police every other episode. I mean, so much happens, and it's just like I feel like I'm running with them when they're running, and I just think that just makes it like so fun and suspenseful, and just, you know, it keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Well, and I think another really smart thing that the writers did is that the show starts right after this big hurricane, and it's knocked out the power and all the cell service so that nobody can contact each other. Like there's no cell service, they can't call, they can't text. So like that makes it more difficult for people to communicate with one another, and it really like it makes it more interesting. So like they're like, I'm gonna meet you at this place at 3:00, and if someone doesn't show up, like you don't know what happened to them.
Well, I also love that then we're not seeing them all on cell phones like the entire show. Because I feel like shows now have like a hard time of balancing that of like, well, we have to be realistic and show them on phones. And then a lot of like the plot is around texting sometimes. So I thought that it was like so refreshing with this show. And kind of a little bit of a throwback that we don't see them on their phones. We don't see them texting too much. And it's something I didn't even like notice in the moment because it just makes sense. And they do kind of keep reminding you like the power's out. We don't have power. And not like we don't see any phones, but I just think it allowed them to like keep the plot moving without having to worry about phones in it.
Yeah, it keeps you very in the moment.
Yes.
Like there's no distraction. There's no like thinking about any of that. You have to be present where you are and really focus on, you know, the task at hand.
And then I feel like when you're watching, you're more present.
Yeah.
And you're just focusing on like what the Pogues have to do and get done today.
Well, you got to pay attention because if you miss a minute, you're behind.
I know, honestly.
I was going to say, I think I like missed whenever they said that the cell service was down.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why are they not texting each other?
I know.
Like, what is going on? What year is this?
Yeah.
I know,
It does.
I know.
It feels like it's like,
I was like, this is so. At first, I was like, are they just ignoring the fact the phones exist and like doing that?
Yeah.
But then I think I did remember seeing like one scene where they said, oh, cell towers are down.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like they don't mention the cell towers again for a long time.
They don't.
And I was like, what's happening?
Well, you just can't believe that like no time has passed. You're like, oh, it's only been a day and they did all of this in one day.
And it takes over at least a week, right? Because like several nights pass. So like it took that long to get the cell service back up and running. Like, you know.
Well, don't they say something too? Like in the cut, they all have generators.
Right.
Like, so they're fine.
Because they have to go to the country club to use a computer because they have internet access at the club.
I'm like, these Pogues, are they okay?
No.
Do they need a Kickstarter? Like,
They're real
GoFundMe? Like, how are they surviving?
You see, like the day after the storm, like Ward has people like cutting down trees and cleaning up his yard. Like they are out there the next day. And meanwhile, like the other half of the island or whatever, like is literally powerless for like a full week.
I mean, to be fair, during Hurricane Sandy, like we lost power like a long time. And there were people who lived like a block from me who lost power for like a month. So it can happen.
Okay. All
Not
right.
to bring down the mood, but
no, and good to know that it's realistic.
I'm just a hurricane expert over here.
The hurricane was just a good plot device.
It
That's
was.
Yes,
like
it
what
was
we're
all a
saying.
plot
It was
device.
so great.
Yeah, it washed up
loved
the
it.
sunken boat. It did all the things for us, and
Yeah.
we're grateful to Agatha for her service.
Was that the name of the hurricane?
kept calling it Aggie.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah,
Oh my
and there's like
God.
signs that spray painted like "fuck you, Aggie" on like the boarded up.
Oh my God, I love that. Okay, that is a funny side note. Like, fuck you, Aggie. That is so good. I want that on a t-shirt too.
Yeah, we're gonna put it in our merch shop.
Yeah, coming soon.
All right, so we talked about some stuff we liked. What did we not care for in season 1?
I mean, look, I loved John B. and Sarah Cameron. Do I think they kissed too quickly? Yes. I needed a little more, like, will they, won't they, a little bit more of a fight.
Yeah, because
Not an actual fight, but just
like a back and forth, a push pull.
Yeah. Oh, push pull. We love that.
Yeah, I think that like because they start off like she's dating Topper and they're a little bit antagonistic towards each other, and then like he blows her off. She's he's mean to her. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, no, I'll take you to Chapel Hill and help you get in the archives for no real reason. She just is like, sure. And that changes everything for them, like, overnight.
Yeah, it's just like it all changes in like one day. Like we do start out the season where she does seem like somewhat happy with Topper.
Yeah.
Like I think when I rewatch, I was like, oh, they're not as antagonistic as I remember.
And he is actually like kind of nice to her, at least.
He's not like cheating on her. I
No.
mean, not like that's like the bar, but like I just feel like in other shows in the past, like Luke Ward was like cheating on Marissa.
Yes.
So maybe I think I was more like expecting that. But it just seemed like wild that just like everything changed like when they went to go to the archives. And now she's like in love with John B.
Yeah, I like John B. and Sarah, and I kind of understand like that like she has this whirlwind day with him and she's like, I need to break up with Topper and be with John B. Like, fine, I get that.
Yeah.
But to literally like say to him in the finale, I'd rather die than be without you. She says that to John B.
That's love, Claire.
After a whole week. And I get that like
know.
your father and your brother are homicidal and whatever. Like you need to run away, and so she's like clinging to something that seems stable, but like I don't know, girl. Like, don't you have like an aunt you can go live with?
I do think it was helpful to see the like dad and brother be like so crazy and evil, and then I was like, okay, I get this a little bit more. Like,
Yeah.
I get why you are clinging on to like John B and these pogues. So I did kind of appreciate that it like I was like, well, with all this backstory here that we're getting, it makes a little bit of sense. Like, girl is not okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do overall, like, I think they're very cute. I'm always rooting for John B and Sarah Cameron.
Same.
We got to say their names just like that.
I know. Yeah, it's always John B and Sarah Cameron.
Yeah.
Forever.
Definitely. I do wonder, though, if I like them and I'm rooting for them because they dated in real life. Like, that was a fun reveal when that came out that they were actually dating. Like, I remember being like, this is so fun.
I mean, I remember the Instagram post.
Same.
Yeah, they
Her
were
red bikini.
Yep, they're in that house. They were staying in that house together on the beach doing all of their interviews via Zoom together. And it's like, why are you two in the same place at the same time?
I know.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that reveal.
You can hear us talk about that on our alleged real life couples episode if you want to go back and take a listen.
Yes, we do get all into that. But I do think they just have good chemistry together too. So it like makes it all believable.
Yeah.
And makes it like a little more fun.
Yeah, I think even, jumping ahead a bit to, season 2 when they broke up in real life, but they're still playing a couple. I was like, no, I still buy it. I still see it.
I do too. They did not lose the chemistry.
Yeah,
I love that about them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chase and Madeline. Keeping it real.
I did not love all the angry, violent boys in season 1.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you brought that up. I mean, it was so much. Like, these boys. Like,
Yeah.
so much fist fighting.
Yes.
And like aggressive fighting. Like, not
Right.
just like casual punch. It
Right.
was like full on brawl.
And a lot of it was like attacking. Like it was like
Yeah.
when they see Pope and they're like, give me those beers or whatever. And he's like, he's just trying to get to where he's going.
Wait, I hated this
And they
so
attack him
much.
with a golf club, which is like horrible. So horrible.
So violent.
Yes. And then I'm thinking too, like Rafe and Barry, they're following, Key in the car and like they're like, where's John B? Whatever. And she's like, I don't know. He starts choking Key. Like choking her,
Yeah.
like going to kill her until Pope comes in and saves her.
I thought that
Like-
was like a little too much.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm like, is everyone a violent sociopath? Like, are all these kooks, boys, like so violent.
But even the pogues, like each one of those pogue boys, when they get pushed, they like nearly kill someone.
Yeah. And then we have JJ with a gun for half of the season, which I really did not need. Like, I didn't like that. And honestly, now that we know that character more, like, I'm like, did that really make sense? Like, I just feel like he's smarter than that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just that's
we want him to be,
thinking.
yeah.
That's wishful thinking. But I just and the gun is in like multiple episodes.
Oh, yeah. They constantly have it on them. They're talking about, do we bring it? Do we not? Like this and that. Like it's always present. And it's just like a 16-year-old boy, with a gun, not something you want to see ever.
And like bringing it to like a big party, like on the beach. Like I just did not like that. The violence was too much.
Yeah. A little, we need to tone it down. Like I get that we're trying to keep it action and adventure-y, but like the teenage boys like being violent and attacking each other, like that's a bridge too far for me.
Yeah, I don't like it when it's like them against each other, like all the teenagers against each other. Like if you want like to throw in like those guys who were like shooting at them on the boat, like I'm happy to attack them. I'm happy to, choke them out or whatever.
Well, it's
however you call it.
It's self-defense in that case.
I'm fine with that, but I didn't love it when we saw them all like going after each other. And I'm like, you're all like 16. Like it just feels like somebody could die from this any second.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like we're one mistake away from like something really bad happening. And I didn't love that.
Yeah, a lot of toxic masculinity in season 1 that I did not care for.
Definitely. But overall, like there's not a lot that I didn't like about this season. Like I thought it all really worked. It was really fun. I think it accomplished what it was set out to do. And am I booking a trip to the Outer Banks? Yes. We'll have to do a previously on location because I'm ready to go to the Outer Banks.
Oh my God, that sounds excining.
So bring your sunscreen, Claire.
Yeah, I need my high SPF.
Claire
she burns real easy.
Claire will be in her hat and sunscreen.
A full-on rash guard.
In the shady part of the boat. And I'll be diving into that water.
Yeah.
Well, before we go...
Yes.
We need to ask the end-all be-all question.
Okay, lay it on me.
Are you a pogue or a kook?
I love the spirit of the Pogues. I appreciate all that they stand for, but if I have to live my life in the Outer Banks, I'm living like a kook, man. I want a house with air conditioning and Wi-Fi.
You want that generator.
I want that generator, man. Yeah. I want a dock, a nice dock outside, a manicured lawn, some French doors out onto the terrace. I want the whole Tanny Hall situation.
I mean, that's the dream, honestly.
Right?
I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, like, I'm a kook.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be a pogue, but I would not last running all day the way that they would. I'd be like, I gotta go lay out in the sun. I want to read my book. Like, that's the OBX lifestyle I want to live, not the one where I'm like running from the cops every other second and there's a manhunt out for my friend. Like, I would have left John B in that situation, to be honest.
Yeah. You'd be like, sorry about you, but it, sounds like a you problem.
I wouldn't be like hiding him in my home. No. I'd be like, I think this might be the end of it, John B. This is it.
Yeah, we've had a good run. They also just they seem like they don't shower too often. And it seems like that John B's house is like real dirty and smelly.
When like all the Pogue boys were like waking up in that house, I was like, I can smell this house and it is musty.
Yes.
And it's just like teenage boys all sleeping in the same room. Like that just never works out. Not even teenage boys, like any boys.
A group
of men or boys sleeping in the same room. There is a smell afterwards that is just, you can smell it through the TV.
Yeah, yeah. And add into that like the stale beer and like the old food and stuff. It's just, no thank you.
We don't see them eat much.
No, we don't. When do they eat?
That's why I also couldn't be a pogue. I'd be like, when are we getting dinner?
Yes.
Seafood Tower.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
We'll be at whatever that restaurant is that Key's family owns.
Oh yeah, I would be there all the time. Yeah, ordering a seafood tower for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, a couple martinis. That's my kind of time. That's my OBX.
Yeah. Give the girl some oysters and call it a day.
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, so it is time for our As If rant. This is the portion of the show where we talk about something that, bothers us, irks us, and we have to say as if, like in Clueless.
This is my favorite part of the show where we get to rant.
I know, just uninterrupted, 15 seconds, unfiltered thoughts. So, Jillian, do you have anything to kick us off?
I would love to do the honors. Producer Jesse, get that clock ready.
All right, we've got 15 seconds on the clock, and your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
That 80-something-year-old blonde woman who is able to stop the Pogues, as if these Pogues have outchased the cops on numerous times. I think they can survive this woman with glaucoma and a cane. Are you kidding me?
Ding, ding, ding.
Nice.
Perfect.
Thank you. And just what were going on with those eyes, you
I
guys?
know, I'm
that
confused.
was weird. I thought it was like...
It was not what I expected. When we saw the
No.
face, I was like, oh.
I thought we were going to see like a sweet old lady or like something like that. And instead we're seeing this like monster.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Claire, you're up.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Allowing a bloodthirsty mob to help you in the search for John B. as if you have adult men being like, put him down, get him, sheriff. Talking about a 16-year-old kid wanting to kill him, and then Rafe's out here being like, no mercy, I'll help you find him. Please, that's irresponsible.
They literally let Rafe like run that operation, like this sociopath. Like they're letting run their like big investigation into John B.
Yeah, even just the amount of adults who are like overheard being like, get him, like, yeah, like, you know, wait till I get my hands on him, like type of stuff. It's
know.
like, he's still a 16-year-old kid. So like,
That part really like, I feel like my heart went out to John B. like in that episode because it is like a whole episode of that. And it's like, this is too much. He's just a boy.
Yes.
It was sad.
I know. Poor thing.
Wow. Well, this was fun going back and reliving season 1 of Outer Banks. Honestly, one of our favorite teen shows. We love it. And I cannot wait to see like where this show goes in season 4. I mean, I'm ready. It's a wild ride already.
No, you just gotta you gotta embrace it. You get on the Outer Banks train and you hold on for dear life until that finale because it's gonna take twists and turns. But I'm excited for all the drama to come.
Yeah, everyone join us in this rewatch of Outer Banks that we're doing because it is fun revisiting this show. We're getting ready for season 4. And I'm just ready for my, summer in OBX. And this is really the only way I'm going to get that.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you a nice little bikini top jean short combo.
Oh my God, thank you.
You're welcome.
I haven't worn that in about 15 years.
If Jill doesn't get air conditioning in her apartment, we might be wearing that.
I know.
We're all living the Pogue life right now in my
We're like
apartment.
Val and Vlad on the ferry right now, just like sweating to death. But we do it for you.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. We love all of you previously honors, and be sure to tune in to the rest of our Outer Banks apps as we get ready for season 4.
Yeah, you can find those episodes as well as all of our past episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, please remember to rate and review us. Click that subscribe button. You can also find us on TikTok and Instagram at previously on _teen TV. Thanks for listening.